it is 6:02. Are we ready? Ready? Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a nice sunny evening. I'm sure everyone is enjoying the sunshine today. I hope you're staying dry. Thank you so much for joining one of our Connect and Collaborate sessions. We do these actually quarterly, but lately they've been more frequent based upon all the topics that keep coming up and everything that the community wants to talk about. So this is your meeting today. We are so privileged today to be joined by the Arlington County Police Department. In partnership with them, we really want to talk about community safety. And Amy will introduce our speakers here in a moment, but my name is Kim Klingler. I am the Executive Director of the Columbia Pike Partnership. And again, thank you so much for being here today. We also have John Snyder, who is the chair of our board, here with us today as well. So John, wave to have any questions for him. Before I introduce Amy, I do want to say that, again, this is your session. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to use the chat function. As we get through the presentation and we get through all the questions in the chat, there may be an opportunity for you to raise your hand and ask the question verbally, but please don't be shy. Put anything in the chat. We would love to hear from you. Next, though, I do want to introduce Amy McWilliams. Amy is our Deputy Director. She has been with the Columbia. Oh, I was going to introduce you. Anyhow, Amy is a rock star. I will let her introduce herself, but welcome again. And Amy, the floor is yours.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Just as an FYI, we are recording this session. So if there's somebody you know who wanted to join us and wasn't able to, it will be available to be viewed. But also to just as a full disclosure, we are being recorded. I would love to introduce to you three amazing people from the Arlington County Police Department who are joining us tonight. And they're going to touch on various topics. We have Master Police Officer Tatiana, and she is with the Business Outreach Unit of the Arlington County Police Department. We will shortly be joined by Corporal Mark Francis, and he is on the community outreach team. And then last but absolutely not least is Samantha Bryan, who is the restaurant and nightlife liaison. And I will to Tatiana to start their presentation.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I am Tatiana Hernandez. I have been with Arlington Police Department for 15 years. Most of my time has been on patrol all over the county. So I have an array of experience on the street. And then I've been with the business outreach for about just over a year. Recently, we've had some rearrangement within the department. So now we have a community engagement team or division, and that holds business outreach, which is Sam and I. It holds the community engagement team, which is Mark Francis's team, and you'll get to meet more of their team members later. And then youth engagement. So within the year, it's been a little hard because of COVID as well, but we've just been, my goal is to make partnerships with businesses, help them understand whatever it is, whatever problem they're going through, help them get through it and have better partnerships with them along the way. I believe, yeah. So the community is just, the community engagement division is just committed in making long-lasting relationships with youth, businesses, or anybody in the community. The chief, we have a newer chief. Our chief's newer objectives are transportation safety, community engagement, and that's what we follow, and crime prevention. So this is Mark's slide. I'm just going to briefly touch on it. I don't want to take his momentum from him, but this is what I was saying. We just promote trust and confidence within the community through long-lasting relationships, and we any problem that we have, we take it on as a community issue. And bring as many divisions that need to be brought in to fix any problems that are happening.
Tatiana, I think we have Mark with us now.
Okay.
Hey, Mark.
Good evening, everybody. Is this me? Is it my turn now?
Yeah, sure.
All right, awesome. Good evening, everybody. My name is Corporal Mark Francis. I'm with the Community Engagement Division. I have been with Arlington County Police since 2017. Prior to that, I was with the Huntsville Police Department in Huntsville, Alabama. I have been with the Community Outreach Unit, which is part of our Community Engagement Division now since November of 2020. So just about roughly a year and a half. My primary area of responsibility is the 3rd District. I am responsible for most of the neighborhoods between Columbia Pike and 395, which amounts to about 8 civic associations. Some of those are a little more active than others. I participate in a variety of events throughout many of those communities, as much or as little as I'm needed. And I also not only just try to go to formalized events, but also try to make myself visible throughout the community, which, as you can imagine, can be very challenging when you're just one officer throughout the day. But I do have a 3rd District partner who I will be introducing here in just a moment. Can we move to the next slide? All right, so we want to meet our supervisory staff. Currently, we have now been formed into a new division called the Community Engagement Division, and Deputy Chief Wayne Vincent now oversees that entire division. Underneath him is my captain, Captain Scott Linder, and he is followed by Lieutenant Luke Hagloff. They both oversee the entire operation of the Community Engagement Division. Picture next to him is going to be Sergeant John Vanek. And even though he could have some overlapping responsibility throughout the Community Engagement Division, his primary area of responsibility will be the Business Outreach Unit. And then the last two are going to be Sergeant Jasmine Sen and Sergeant Aaron Queen. They are going to be direct supervisors for for our Community Outreach Unit. Sergeant Queen, and he is my direct supervisor, and he basically oversees one half of the week, and Sergeant Sen oversees the other half of the week. And what I mean when I say that is typically when we have one team working, the other team is off. And we have 2 days per month, 2 Fridays per month that are called our overlap Fridays, where both teams work together. All right, next slide.
I'll take over, Mark.
Sure.
So this slide is the Business Outreach Unit. What we do is just collaborate with the community, business community, and partnership. We try to develop educational programming. We try to develop any kind of best practices that we can push forward to businesses. In general, the general understanding is that what works for one business might most likely work for the next, but then we tailor it because a restaurant is not going to be the same as a hotel or as much as something that has nightlife. So we do general best practices, and then we tailor it to each business. I did not start this business safety initiative training book, but I definitely finished it. It is a very big book. Again, it is a broad spectrum of how to keep your business safe, whether that is from employees, outsiders, customers, or frequent flyers that create problems in your business. It is made for the bigger corporations, but you can make it to your smaller business. If you're interested in this book, we'll probably give you our email later. You can send an email and request it. And I'll be happy. I usually drop them off to your business, and I'll be more than happy to drop them off. Do you want to do the next slide? So part of the business outreach, a lot of it is trying to help the business get the information they need, but we also love to partner and do events. We had our first Pride with the Police at Freddy's at 2021. We're talking about how we wanted to make it bigger and better for 2022. Reaching New Heights is actually a youth program in our department or in the county that helps at-risk youth do indoor climbing. So we partner with them. And then we just partner with Arlington Economic Development, with the Chamber, with anything that has to do with business. We love to partner to make things better for the partners. for the businesses. Next slide. And this is Mark again.
All right, so here we have the community outreach unit, and we are, as it says, the primary liaison between the residential community and the police department. One of our main tasks is to take on concerns that are brought to us by community members that don't necessarily rise to the level of being a non-emergency call for service or even emergency call for service. We still encourage people to call 911 or our non-emergency number if there is something that requires a more immediate police attention. However, sometimes there are going to be ongoing issues that will not necessarily require police intervention right away, but might require some sort of sit down and problem solving for a more long-term solution. So that is one of the things that we do. We like to maintain partnerships with residents, with residential communities, civic association groups, and other stakeholders. While we do also interact some with our business community, we do try to leave a lot of that for the business outreach unit. That is their wheelhouse, that's their bread and butter. And they have a lot of the resources and the connections that might be more relevant to business, to our business concerns. We conduct many meetings such as what we're doing here this evening, and we touch on a variety of issues, anything from just crime prevention and safety. We talk about traffic concerns. We address things that might pertain more to the children and the youth within our community. We do like to collaborate with our stakeholders and with other agency partners and with our community members in developing programs. A lot of times people think that it is our sole responsibility to come up with every initiative and community initiative that we are a part of. The truth of the matter is, as much as we would like to do that, we are a smaller unit. And so we do depend on the relationships that we build with other community members, with other stakeholders, other agency partners, to be able to come up with programming and with initiatives that will be beneficial to the community. All right, if we can move to the next slide. And here you have our community outreach team. I am pictured there first, and next to me is going to be Corporal Regina Ryan. If you guys have ever looked on our social media pages, any of our social media outlets, or maybe if you've just been out and about in the community and you've seen a golden lab, this is going to be his handler. Corporal Regina Ryan is the handler for our FRK9 Brooks. They have a great relationship with the community. They seem to be a hit no matter where we go. Pictured next to her is going to be Officer Carly Hirschman, and then Juan Pablo Montoya, who is also going to be our Latino liaison. So he is embedded deeply within our Latin community, does a lot of programming, brings a lot of awareness about police resources to the Latino community. And he is working very hard to also develop that trust between our Latino community members and the police department. Next to him is MPO Harley Gunther and Corporal Kenneth Giles. Both of them, they work on the team that works the opposite side of the week from me, along with Corporal Montoya. Both Corporal Regina Ryan and Officer Hirschman are my team members. Next slide. And so, as I mentioned earlier, our Latin liaison officer, Corporal Montoya, he actually got hired into the same academy class that I did. He came over as a lateral officer from the Metropolitan Police Department in DC. And he is currently assigned to the Community Engagement Division. He is also a member of the U.S. Marine Corps and a native of Columbia. JP has a very infectious personality. If you meet JP, I guarantee you will not forget him. He is a very hard worker and he loves interacting with the community. So if you ever see this face out and about, don't be afraid to approach him. He is somebody that you'll definitely want to have a conversation with.
Francis, if you don't mind, I can jump in. We
Sure.
are working on a Latino or Hispanic community policing academy. We have a policing academy going on right now, which entails, it's an 8-week course once a week. You will come in and you learn about everything about the police department. from the front door to the top floor of what we do. We are working on a Latino community policing academy. I work directly with JP on the Latino liaison unit. So if that is something you're interested in, again, please email us. We would love to have you there. We're trying to promote it and recruit for the Latino liaison, the Latino Community Policing Academy. That should be held in October. So I don't know if applications are being read right now, but keep that in mind and reach out to the email that Sam just put in the chat, and we would love to have you. Back to you, Mark.
All right, I'm actually going to let you start off this this slide from you, Tati, if you don't mind, just to talk about our Reaching New Heights program. It is a program that I am a part of, but Tatiana has been involved with it just a little bit longer. And so if you don't mind just speaking briefly about it, and then I can take over.
So Tara McGee is part of a girls at-risk youth group. I think she started off with girls, but now she does it with boys too. She has a passion for indoor climbing. What she'll do is she'll bring the at-youth risk to the gym, which is in Crystal City, and won't tell that the people belaying, the belayers are the people that hold your rope while you climb. She won't tell the at-risk youth that the people belaying you is a police officer. So we start to build those relationships. We encourage them. It's amazing to see them start really nervous and scared. And by the time they leave, they're challenging each other or racing each other to the top. And at the end, she'll say, you know, like, who was your favorite belayer? Who's your favorite person here? And then reveal that we're police officers. So just to show that we are people too, we love to make relationships with the police, with the community. The last time I was with one, an officer was there. She had just had a run-in with one of the youth. He was having a hard time coming out of his shell and talking to anybody. She went up to him. She says, "Do you remember me? Like, let's do this." Really pushed him to just come out and talk to her. And at the end, he was one of the ones like encouraging everybody, and just to see that relationship develop within a couple of hours was amazing. Do you want it back, Mark?
Sure. I'm not going to hit every single one of these pictures on this page. I think these pictures do kind of speak for themselves, but I do just want to highlight a couple of things because we do have some really good programming that's going to be coming up for the summer. So we do have Rad Kids, and we also have our teen patrol, our patrol camp for the summer, as well as a teen academy as well. So it will be a youth-oriented version of our community police academy. That is in the works right now. One of our youth outreach members, Corporal Amanda Brown, she is spearheading that initiative. So be looking out for more information about that. I think it should have already been blasted on Nextdoor as well as some of our other social media platforms. But take a look at those platforms. And if you haven't seen anything about it, just please reach out. I actually do have a flyer that I can provide for you. As you can see, we do participate in a lot of community events. And I want to stress that, you know, you can feel free at any point in time to send an email to request us just to come out to hang out. It doesn't, maybe if you just want to have, you know, just a day outside and you just want to be able to have officers come and just mingle, or if you want to do something a little more formal where we sit down and we talk about a relevant issue, feel free to reach out to us. We have our master calendar, which right now is being maintained by one of our civilian employees. She manages our calendar for us because it can get pretty busy at times. Even though we are a small unit, we do take on quite a bit of work. So we need somebody just to kind of keep our heads straight. Then the other thing that I do want to stress is our seasonal drives. We do food drives, we do toy drives. We even do a drive for the Animal Welfare League of Arlington as well. So continue to look out on our social media platforms Nextdoor whenever we have these drives. We'd love to see you out there. We don't do this for us, we do this for the community and for those that do not have access to a lot of the resources that many of us are so fortunate to have. Next slide. Right. So one thing that's big on the minds of a lot of people, one of the things that I do get asked a lot about are vehicle thefts. That is not only a big problem here within Arlington, but it's just a big problem across the region. And so there are some things that you can do to kind of help reduce the likelihood that you would become a victim of vehicle theft. But I do want to caution that even with the tips that I share, it is not a guarantee that you would never become a victim of vehicle theft. But there are certain things that you can certainly do to reduce your chances. One, you want to be aware of your surroundings and, park in well-lit areas at night when possible. Sometimes it's not always possible, but definitely be aware of your surroundings. I know a lot of people have resorted to using earbuds as hands-free devices when driving, but I have noticed that a lot of people like to drive with both of those earbuds in, and then when they get out of the car, both earbuds are still in their ears as they're walking to and from their vehicle. That can be very problematic. One, you shouldn't be driving with both earbuds in. You should only have one, but two, if you're going to be outside of your vehicle, having both does really it takes away from your level of awareness. You're not aware of your surroundings when you're so keyed in to whatever is being played through your earbuds, whether it's music or a podcast or whatnot. So please, and then sometimes it can also be distracting too. And you might even forget to do something like locking your doors, which is the second bullet point, or removing valuables from plain view. Criminals and juveniles in particular, they love looking for unlocked doors. They don't like to draw attention to themselves, and they like to troll neighborhoods, particularly in the middle of the night when everybody is asleep, and they like to find car doors that are unlocked so that they don't have to set off any alarms. And then any vehicle that is unlocked, they will proceed to rifle through the glove compartment, through the center console for anything of value. On many occasions, people not only leave, items such as cell phones or wallets inside their car, but they also leave key fobs or a valet key. And if that is found inside the car, it is almost a guarantee that that car will then become a stolen vehicle. So you want to be mindful of that. I tell people all the time that if you do have a valet key inside your car, that you please take it out. There typically can be found, if your car is equipped with one, it will be typically found inside the owner's manual, inside the glove box, or somewhere in that general area. So please take that valet key out. You don't want to leave it in there because that is one of the easiest way to get your car stolen once anybody gains entry into your car. Now, if you leave something of value in plain view and your car is locked, a very motivated criminal will sometimes force entry, typically by breaking out a window. For a lot of cars, that doesn't necessarily set off the alarm just by breaking out the window. So if they see something that's within reach, they'll just reach in and grab it still without unlocking the door, because they don't want to draw that attention. Their goal is to hit as many cars in a particular area as they possibly can within a very short window of time without being noticed. So they're not going to want to do a whole lot to draw attention to themselves. So I just want to, again, highlight these things as ways that you can prevent vehicle theft, but it's really to just kind of reduce the likelihood that it could happen. Something that is happening now a little more frequently, and I was actually a victim of it myself very recently, is that my personal vehicle was broken into. I didn't have anything in plain view. My car was locked. However, there was a specific car part that they wanted, and so they broke out my window and they stole that particular car part by ripping out a panel, and that's all that they took. So like I said, a person that's just motivated enough, even if you don't have anything of value inside the vehicle, you might still become a victim of car theft. So that's just something that to be aware of. Next slide. On this page here, what it is it's called a community crime map. This is an actual website that's powered by LexisNexis. You can see the link down there at the bottom, and if you are not able to take a screen grab of it, I'm pretty sure it will be placed inside the chat. The community crime map allows you to put in a particular address, and this actually will pull up anywhere in the US. But obviously, if you're concerned about Arlington, you can put in your specific address. And what it does is it populates the calls for service all throughout the area within a particular radius of your address, and you can set that radius. So what you see on the screen here are several icons, and these icons all represent different types of calls for service. You can click on those icons and it will just give you some general information. It won't give you specifics. It won't give you a specific address. It'll give you enough to give you the block in which that particular incident occurred, and will tell you the type of incident that that took place, as well as the date that it occurred on. So this is one way. A lot of times people want to know, well, how can I find out what things are happening, what crime trends or other things are happening in my area? This is an excellent way to do so. And then I have another slide here. We can see if it's the next one. Yes. So on this slide, if you look on the left side, the box, it says a daily crime reports, any incident that is going to be of significance, our major incidents, something, if we have like a malicious wounding, or if we have something where, there is bodily injury, or there's significant property damage, those types of incidents are going to be placed inside our daily crime report. And those are going to be published every day by our media team, and then they are placed in the daily crime report, and you can click on the link for the date that you would like to look at, and then you can pull up information for significant events that happen throughout the county. To the right, you will see a video. We're not going to play the video, but I'll allow you to play it on your own time. This is going to be a message from our chief. And this basically is his message that is going to that highlights some changes that we are bringing to the county in terms of our service changes. And by service changes, I mean things that the police department will now be handling in person versus things that we will be asking for you to report online. I'm sure that you guys are aware that staffing is a challenge, not just for our agency, but for first responding agencies, not just in the area, but across the country. Just so that you're aware, Arlington County Police Department is authorized for a sworn strength of 376 officers. Currently, we are operating with 290 officers at full strength. And I did the numbers on that for a different memo that I was working on last night. And I think that basically gives us a shortfall of approximately 22% in terms of officers that we are in need of. Now, we do have some officers that are in training in the academy, that are in post academy, and then we also have officers that are on light duty, and those do not count to the 290, but that's currently where we stand. So with that in mind, we have had to reconfigure how we answer calls for service. A lot of times people will call up to ECC with a non-emergency and they want an officer to respond, and we tell them, no, we would like for you to report online, and they demand to still speak with an officer. In the past, we would still send the officer out. However, that's going to change going forward. So there will be certain crimes that you will be asked to report online. Things like fraudulent scams, identity theft, late reports of larcenies or thefts from vehicles, thefts of packages, things of that nature. We're going to be asking you to report those incidents online. It doesn't mean that nothing happens with it. That actually goes to our alternative reporting unit. They review every single report that is made online, and if it meets the same criteria as if an officer were to submit a report, then it gets assigned to a detective. This just allows patrol to be able to keep our officers free, to be able to handle our more significant calls where we have more of a threat to life or property. So that is just something to be aware of. Please take a moment when you get a chance to listen to the chief's message, and there is also going to be a PDF that will coincide with his message.
All right, everybody, it's my turn. Hello, I'm Samantha Brian. I am the Restaurant and Nightlife Liaison for the Arlington County Police Department. I am a civilian, so I'm a non-uniformed police officer, meaning I don't wear a uniform, I don't carry a gun, I am not a licensed police officer. I took over the Arlington Restaurant Initiative from Jim Mastoris. He was an MPO here who started the program, and we'll kind of go through a little bit about it. But basically, it's a nightlife policing strategy to improve safety and economic viability by creating trustful relationships with restaurant owners. Next slide. So it's basically just to increase safety and provide restaurant owners and staff, managers, and security with all the tools necessary that they need to maximize their safety and viability. We also have the Arlington Restaurant Special Event Venue Accreditation, which we'll talk a little bit about too. Next slide. Thank you. So to become accredited in the process, this is open for any restaurant that serves alcohol or has an ABC license in the county. So it's a voluntary accreditation program for anybody that wants to join. There are 3 steps to become accredited, and the longest one takes about an hour to do, an hour and a half. So when Jim created the program, he found that there was a need for the program because we were running our officers dry and running our resources dry with policing our nightlife areas such as Clarendon. We had about 20 to 25 officers out there on any given Friday or Saturday night, which was just draining our resources. So Jim decided to look into a program called Best Bar None, which is an accreditation process in the UK for restaurants that serve alcohol. And he tailored it to Arlington and created the Arlington Restaurant Initiative. So to become accredited, you have to follow 3 main steps. The first step is to incorporate basically guidelines and best practices or policies into an employee handbook. These policies were created by both restaurant staff and by the county government sitting together at a table to come up with these 20 policies. Anything from don't serve under 21 to knowing what to do when an incident occurs in your establishment to having a trash can at the front entrance whenever you're busy. So once you write those 20 policies into your employee handbook, you have your staff sign off on the liability clause, and then you go on to the next step. So we conduct an operational walkthrough. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes to make sure you have your ABC managers posted, you have an incident reporting binder, all your fire exits are clear. It's about 15 steps that we walk through. And then you can receive following free training. So it's about an hour and a half to 2 hour long training. Next slide, I'm sorry. So the training includes responsible alcohol service, intoxication levels, fake ID detection and deterrence, de-escalation techniques for staff, public safety expectations and procedures if a crime occurs. So we want you guys to know if a crime occurs in your establishment, exactly what to do. And when the police come, what the police are going to do, fire safety and occupancy, and then Virginia Hospital Center comes out and gives hands to heart CPR training. So staff learn CPR in about 10 minutes. Then we also have victim witness office with the Commonwealth Attorney that gives our bystander sexual assault intervention training. Sometimes public health will come out and do food and safety compliance. We do our Ask for Angela program, which is the picture to the right of the screen. It is a patron safety program to reduce sexual assault in establishments. So establishments will have these posters in both men and women's bathrooms. And if someone's feeling uncomfortable or feeling sexually harassed, all they have to do is go up to one of the staff and say, "Hey, is Angela working?" And the staff are trained on how to get that person out of that situation. We also have Arlington Addiction Recovery Initiative that comes in and gives Narcan training free of charge to all the restaurant staff. So each staff receives 2 doses of Narcan for their own personal use, and then as well as some for the restaurant to keep. Next slide, please. Thank you. So part of this program was having a multi-component approach. What we found was nobody was talking to each other before we started this program. So we really wanted to have a multi-component approach within the county government, meaning that I have liaisons from each department. So if you as a restaurant or you as a business has a question regarding zoning and you don't know who to get in contact with, you can just reach out to me. And I can have our liaisons get in contact with you, or I can answer your questions. So these are all the county agencies that we work very closely with in the program. Next slide. So what we saw is before we weren't collecting a lot of data, and I think this data kind of speaks volumes to the work that we're doing within the Arlington Restaurant Initiative. So we use a SARA model, which is basically a evidence-based policing model for police departments to use to assess and determine their programs and how they're working. So back in 2015, we weren't collecting a lot of data. That's why you see our contacts in Clarendon, we're at 968, which is not a lot. But then we started collecting all of the data. So every time an officer works our nightlife detail with, which Corporal Francis can talk about because he works all of the time, they have to create a log form where they go in and fill out all of their work for the night. So you see our contacts rise, right, as we're collecting that data, but you see the violent crime kind of reduce. Obviously, 2020 was a weird year where most of us were shut down. And then 2021, we started reopening. We have seen a lot more assaults on officers, especially in our nightlife. That could be due to the climate that we're in now, post-COVID. Everybody seems very angry lately, especially when they're drinking. But you can go ahead to the next slide. So these are just some of our restaurants that are accredited. I believe we have about 48 to 50 in all of Arlington that are accredited, including most on Columbia Pike. Just to name a few, we have the Celtic House, we have Liberty Tavern, William Jeffries, El Salvador, Los Chamacos. They're all accredited with us, as well as some special event venues that have become accredited too. This is a PSA, but you can go ahead and watch it online because it's a little bit long. But if you want to go onto our website, which I'll put in the chat, you can go ahead and watch our PSA just to learn a little bit more about the program and how we've developed the relationships of trust within the businesses. So just a little bit about COVID-19. Obviously, we had to kind of shift our work regarding the restaurants during COVID-19 because we found a lot of need and a lot of education to give. So we partnered a lot with our economic development biz launch team. They're absolutely amazing. And restaurants just kind of reached out to us, asking us questions, how do we enforce mask mandates? How do we mitigate our lines and encourage social distancing, especially when we had the county board voted on the social distancing ordinance during lines. We partnered with BizLaunch on our Think Local, Act Local social media campaign, which was absolutely amazing. It reached over 1 million people on Twitter, where we asked people to come out on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, and talk about your favorite small business in Arlington or where you're ordering delivery or takeout from for the night. We also partnered with them on multiple resource guides for businesses and restaurants. We do a lot of outreach. I try to do a lot of outreach regarding patron safety campaigns or employee campaigns. So you might have seen some of these flyers out. We have Has Your Drink Been Spiked? There has been, I would say, a lot more violence related to alcohol, not in Arlington, but as a whole. And I think that has to do a lot with COVID, right? We're coming out of a time where we were kind of in our houses for a while, didn't have much human interaction, and now everybody's kind of going wild. So we wanted to just kind of bring out these campaigns for everybody to see and for everybody to remember how to be safe during nightlife. A lot of the restaurants were saying like, hey, we can't control all the aspects of our patrons. Can we get some signage? So that's why we try to put out the Tips for a Safe Night Out, Has Your Drink Been Spiked, the Ask for Angela program. We also host numerous sober ride outreach events in our nightlife where patrons will pledge to not drink and drive. They'll put their pledge on a police car. They'll have their chance to wear the drunk goggles and participate in an activity. If they win that activity, they're given a gift card donated from one of the restaurants for food only. And then we host multiple outreach events with the police department. One is Conversation with a Cop, where we'll go out to some happy hours during the summer and fall times and just talk to the patrons of those happy hours to kind of get a sense of how they feel, if they feel safe in nightlife, if they feel safe in their businesses and restaurants, and what we can do better for their safety. But these are just a couple of programs that we run. We have our Fake ID Awards, where we encourage restaurant staff to be on the lookout for fake identifications. And we award the restaurants that collect the most throughout the year. which is really nice. At first, the security didn't want to be known as those establishments that collect fake ID, and now they're kind of in competition with each other. And whoever gets the award usually gets a text message at the end of the awards, and he'll text everybody and say, hey, I got the award this year, like maybe next year, guys, you know. So it's kind of become a nice little competition between all the establishments. And then we have our Sober Ride partnership. I'm sure everybody's seen our pink police car out in Arlington, whether it's at special events in Clarendon and Crystal City, or just roaming around the county. You can stop by and wave to me at any point. I'm the blonde driving the pink police car, but we partner with WRAP, which is Washington Regional Alcohol Program, and Lyft for our Sober Ride car. It is just a rolling billboard. We don't take anyone to jail and we don't take anybody home in it. But during heavy drinking nights, we call them drinking holidays, like Cinco de Mayo, St. Patrick's Day, New Year's Eve, WRAP gives over 5,000 free rides for Lyft users. So we're able to hand out those free Lyft codes to the different establishments to hand out to their patrons throughout the night. Next slide. And this is just some ways to get in contact with us should you want to. Those are all of our emails. Me and Tatiana are with the Business Outreach Unit. And then Mark, I believe the Community Outreach team has 2 different emails, but you can email either one and it'll go to all of us. And that's all that's all we have for tonight.
That is great. Thank you guys all so very, very much. I had a couple of messages in the chat. The first one is, what's the average tenure for an Arlington County police officer? Do you guys have any idea?
I think it kind of varies. Honestly, this profession is kind of strange. It's once you get past a certain number of years, you either stay or you just leave law enforcement altogether. You're almost kind of married to the agency that you're with, primarily because of the way that the organization is set up. And if you try to move to another agency, you'd have to start over again. And typically, we usually see a lot of movement, and Tatiana can either confirm or deny this, not necessarily deny, but maybe offer a different perspective. But I think that we typically see a lot of movement within the first 5 to 7 years. I think once you kind of get past that point is when we typically start to see officers usually kind of dig in for the long haul with an agency. And I don't think that's not just here, that's going to be anywhere. And like I said, that's just because if you promote up and you get to a higher rank and you just try to move somewhere else to another agency, you'd have to start all over again. You lose that seniority, you lose that tenureship, and you kind of have to start from scratch. And as you get older, it just doesn't make sense to do that. So I hope that answers your question. And I don't know, Tati, if you have a different perspective on that.
I agree. I would say anywhere from 5 to 7 years, you would see the officer move on. They start young, they move on, they find somewhere else. A lot anywhere in the country. To go federal law enforcement, you mostly start off at a state level or a county level. But once you're in for 5 to 7, you're kind of in it again. After 7 years, who wants to go back to a different academy, who wants to start at the bottom of the barrel, and you're vested financially, you're vested in the county. So it would be interesting to see what our average experience of an officer is right now, because we have a lot of officers that have 20, 26 years leaving, and we have a lot of middle of the ground. Like we had a really great officer leave who had 12 years on, which is, unless there is a bigger reason, the spouse got a better job or they're moving for family reasons, you don't see someone leave after 12 years to just go to a neighboring jurisdiction, which is happening a lot. And we have a class of like 20 brand new officers. So I would have to reach out to see what our average experienced officer is right now. But I can tell you it's probably just a couple years.
Gotcha. Okay, that's good to know. Here's this is, I think, a comment. there's not really a question in it, but I think they wanted to share an experience. I like the Arlington County Police and would give them 5 stars on almost every metric except one. On the positive front, the community engagement is outstanding. The multi-pronged efforts to manage the Clarendon nightlife, creative, and I have personally seen officers in the county employ de-escalation efforts in tense situations. My one issue is that of prostitution and the so-called massage centers in the county. 6 years ago, I was inappropriately touched at a Ballston massage facility, which is still open, and left immediately. I tried to report the issue to Arlington Police and was told to contact the state nursing board, which regulates massage facilities. The perpetrator was recently arrested by false church police and consequently committed suicide. In looking at the online reviews for the Ballston facility, I was sad, had felt uncomfortable, and then it took 6 years. Offenders, I truly believe there are others. I don't know if any of you can speak to any kind of sex crimes, if there's a separate division within the police department that handles those types of issues.
So I don't mind taking this question. First of all, I apologize for your bad experience. And please know that there's a lot of resources out there for you. If you want to email one of those emails that we showed, there's Doorways that helps with post sexual assault therapy, and we'll be more than happy to get you in contact with them. But in general, for the general massage parlor questions, I know that our sexual victims unit and our undercover officers work those before. I can only speak as a generalization because I don't know any specific intricacies of these massage parlors, but I know that they have worked them and do work them. Again, I believe you, but if I were handling this case and you had called and I had showed up to your call, I would have taken a report, and I know there would have been follow-up. I don't know who the officer that responded to your call was, but that would not be the way that we are trained to respond. And if you don't like an answer, by all means, you can call a supervisor or email the supervisor, email one of the thousands of emails that we have provided, and just say, hey, this happened. I don't like how it responded, how an officer responded. What can I do to have a report taken or more information dug into this? Again, I don't know any specifics of this case, but a report should have been taken and it should have been looked into. And I know that they have. I know we have had, I'm sure there's press release of us being part of massage parlors and investigations on that.
I do also want to say, I tell the businesses this all the time, please report stuff, please call us. You know, we are short-staffed, but please still call us. We want to be able to help you. And like I tell the businesses, we want to take the liability off of you. And most of the time we don't know if something's happening unless you call us and report it.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so hopefully all of the emails here, the folks on the call here can take advantage, reach out when you need to. And that is honestly that's a little baffling that you had to go to the state nursing board. That seems a little, that gives me pause. Anyways, does anyone else have any questions? You can raise your hand, you can put it in the chat. What do we have here?
I'm just linking Doorways. They are a private entity that we work well with. Oh, Andrea, is that you? Yeah. They help with any sexual assault, whether it is a ongoing brand new issue. They also help with domestic violence. They're amazing. We partner with them all the time. If anybody needs any domestic help or sexual assault help, this is who we partner with, and we really highly recommend them.
I do just want to share, as I did say at the top, this is being recorded. It will be available on our website. We'll also make sure that we have all of those contacts and emails available there as well. So that if there are any questions or concerns that come up after the presentation here, you'll be able to reach back and that directly off of the columbiapike.org website. Do we have any other questions or comments?
Tatiana did put it in the group chat. Did put it in the chat, but come out and visit us at our Coffee with a Cop event. It is April 26th at the Starbucks in Penrose from 10 to 12:30.
And if you can't make that one, later in the day, we have one at East West Coffee and Wine in Clarendon. That is from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. And then we'll have one in the fall as well, somewhere. We usually do 2 a day, one north side and one south side. And we'll push that out soon. We'll probably send you guys a flyer to push out soon.
Perfect. Yeah. Liz and Nora with Path Forward said Path Forward will also be on hand with you at East West.
Yeah, Memo's the owner of East West. He told me about you guys being there. We're super excited.
Awesome. So were they. Excellent. Okay. I would, if there's nothing more, we can wrap this up just a wee bit early, but huge thanks to Tatiana and to Mark and to Sam for taking the time tonight to come and talk with us. Again, if anybody has any questions that comes up after the fact, there are the emails that you can reach out to. You can also reach out to Kim or I or Andrea, and we're happy to connect you with the right person at ACPD and get your questions answered. So a huge just a reminder, we have our Pike Progress Luncheon coming up virtually Thursday, April 21st from 12 to 1:15. You can go on the website and grab a ticket to that if you're interested. We also have coming up, we have a wellness event on May 7th, and that will be at the Centro Plaza from 1 to 5. And then we are bringing back the Blues Fest, big and bad as ever. That's going to be June 18th. And we will be back on the street at South Walter Reed and Columbia Pike from 1 to 8:30. We really hope you can join us. It's a terrific party and really celebrates the Pike. So those are my plugs. Is there anything you want to add, Kim?
No, I think that was perfect. So thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight on a rainy evening. Thank you so much for sharing and caring. And we will, as you heard Amy say, we have a lot of things going on. So check out our website, columbiapike.org. And we really hope to see everyone in person very soon.
Thanks again, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.